In this video, I'm going to talk about fishing in a hurricane. Fishing in hurricanes is some of the most intense fishing there is. And here's why. So as I said in the beginning of this video, I'm going to talk about fishing in a hurricane, kind of what I like to do to catch big bass. And unfortunately, this bite actually doesn't exist anymore. We had it for 3 years, and then this year I had these same conditions 3 times in a row, and there was not a single big bass to be had. So it's unfortunate that it doesn't exist, and hopefully I'll be able to pattern this down in a different area. But when this is working out correctly and there are fish in the area, what I'm trying to do right now is throw a very large profile bait. And so my bait of choice is a Danny plug, which is a very large metal lip. This is probably like a 12-inch plug. It's one of my favorites to just get the attention of big bass. And so what I was doing here is I was throwing it into this little rip area. So as you can see, there's some boulders there, and there are some white water kind of getting in waves crashing over the top of those rocks, and it's drifting through this section here, creating this amazing current rip, and the bass are just sitting there waiting for food. This is another nice one. Oh my god, it's another. I'm gonna tire this one out, and we're not losing this fish. We're not losing this fish. When you're fighting a really big bass like this one, as I was saying, like, I'm trying to play the fish and get it tired, because when there is this much white water, the bass are really frothed up and they have a ton of energy. So it's really important to fight the fish really hard. And you can see me cupping my spool there. I'll talk about that more in the next fish I catch. But when landing the bass, it's all about patience. So right here, you're gonna see with these waves, you got to be really patient. And you know, best case scenario, I can just grab the leader and pull it in, but you can't force it. And we try to do the best we can not to beat up the fish during this process, but trying to keep ourselves safe as well. And there you go, I was able to land this absolute beautiful bass. And the other thing I wanted to mention, as you can see, I am using a boga grip, and I know I'm going to get attacked in the comments for using a boga grip, but when you're dealing with hooks that are that big and you're dealing with giant surf and wave conditions, I can't afford, especially in this scenario, and keep in mind this is a few years ago, but especially in this scenario, I can't afford to have that fish slip out of my hands or have that fish shake and put a hook into my hand, because you'll see some very dangerous conditions later. So yeah, this is not the greatest for the bass carrying it like this, but for the conditions that we had, I was doing the best that I could to keep me safe and to get a good release on the bass. And you can see I got a great release on this fish. It darts off like crazy. Boom, it's gone. And it kicked and darted off strong, so I know that fish survived. And yeah, this is me losing a bass earlier, so that's why I was saying we're not losing another bass. So you're going to see this big hook set. So I was waiting for the thump, and then what I did here is I whacked the bass really hard, made sure I got a secure hook set into him, and then again, I was going to try to play it safe and patient. I realized this bass is taking me really close to structure, so I go on the run. I run as best I can. My drag is screaming here, and I get into a position where I can fight him around the rocks that I have. This is really cool because you'll see me grab my spool. My drag is looser, and now I'm actually controlling it with my hand. So a lot of people say don't touch your drag, and that can work for certain scenarios, but in scenarios like this where you have rocks and then you have places where the bass can swim, you want to grab the spool, and you can control, like, okay, I'm going to give it a lot of pressure right here to pull it around the rock, and then, oh, my line's on a rock, I can let go and let the bass take some line that won't cut me off. Here's something I do that is super, super stupid, but I did it correctly. I wrapped my hand around the line, as you're going to see here, and it's around the braided line, and a big wave hits the fish. But you see how I'm wrapping it backwards around my hand, and then, oof, if that was wrapped the other way, I could have literally lost a finger. Hopefully not, but like I could have seriously cut my hand, and worst case scenario, lost a finger. So that really hurt, I remember. But if you're gonna grab it, make sure you grab your fluorocarbon leader. That's why you have it. That's why you have a long one, and it's super important to do that. You can see all these bass were really hitting it hard right in the middle of the Danny plug. And this Danny plug is a little subsurface Danny plug. So what happens is it dives maybe a foot to 2 feet under the surface of the water, but still is giving off that big profile. And back to trying to be safe here. Oh, just getting wrecked by a big wave. This is why I have to use bow grip on those fish. When you're fishing in hurricane conditions, you got to be super careful and know how to deal with getting washed away by a wave like this. What I like to do is I like to never turn my back to a wave, always hit it head first, or body first, I guess. I try to almost tackle the wave as it hits me. That way I'm only getting pushed straight backwards and I'm not getting flipped or tumbled around. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.